in Lebanon, most of the peasant seed have disappeared when we came in 2015. It's super hard to find local varieties.
Welcome to episode 24 of the Seed Farmer Podcast. I'm Dan Brisebois, seed grower at Tournesol Cooperative Farm, spreadsheet and crop planning enthusiast, and author of The Seed Farmer, a complete guide to growing, using, and selling your own seeds. You can order your own copy of The Seed Farmer from no-till growers and other places where fine books are sold. I also have a free mini course coming up in January called Crop Planning for Seed Farmers. There's a link to sign up in the show notes. With the Seed Farmer Podcast, I want you to get inspired to go out and grow some seed on your farm. Léa, Martinet, Jannin, and Ferdinand, Beau are this episode's guest. Léa and Ferdinand are two of the 22 members of Buzuruna Juzuruna, a 2-hectare seed farm and school farm in Lebanon. In this episode, Léa and Ferdinand define the terms peasant seeds and baladi seeds. They also explain the challenges of finding local seeds in Lebanon, and they discuss the role of international seed banks in preserving seeds and the importance of reclaiming these seeds and bringing them back to where they originated. I hope you enjoy this conversation. Before we start the show, let's get a word from the Seed Farmer show sponsors.
Hello, everyone. This is Owen Taylor.
And this is Chris Bolden Newsom of True Love Seeds. We are farmers who run a seed company to preserve our ancestral plant relatives from all over the world and share our seeds with gardeners and farmers seeking out their beloved tastes of home.
We also have a podcast we think you will enjoy. It's called Seeds and Their People. We interview growers about the plants that keep their culture thriving.
Tune in wherever you listen to podcasts and at trueloveseeds.com.
All right, everyone, important public service announcement. I know some of you are already making plans for how you'll spend the winter, ordering tools, researching seeds, projecting crops. It's also a great time to gather with our farmers to share knowledge and skills. This February, join thousands of farmers like you from across the U.S. for 3 days of community building and farmer-led learning at the 36th Annual Marble Seed Organic Farming Conference in La Crosse, Wisconsin. Find out more and register at marbleseed.org/conference. All right, back to the show. Welcome, Léa and Ferdinand. Welcome to the Seed Farmer Podcast.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm really excited about this conversation today. When I first heard about this project, I got really excited to find out more, and everything that I've read and chatted with Léa about has just made it sound really wonderful. So it's an exciting. Yeah, well, it's an exciting thing to talk about here.
Thank you. Thank you for having us. Very excited to talk about the seeds and the project we're doing in Lebanon. Thank you.
So why don't we just begin by having you tell us about Buzuruna Juzuruna and describing the project and how it began.
Ferdinand, you want maybe to start because you're one of the...
It's possible, as you want, yes.
Yeah,
so,
right.
Buzuruna Juzuruna, we are a school farm in Lebanon. We are situated in the Bekaa Valley. The Bekaa Valley is in the mountain. We are between 2 big mountains and 1,000 meter high. But we're close to Beirut and the seaside. And then Syria is very close to us. In fact, Damascus is closest to us than Beirut. But unfortunately, until now, we couldn't visit Damascus, and our friends that are from there, they couldn't come back in their city because of Assad regime. So we're here. We're a group of people from France, from Syria and from Lebanon. We're living together since now close to, and we started to live together since 2016. And it's just a group of people that were interested in seeds and natural farming that met together in 2016 first, and then step by step bring more people, and that became friends with the time. So Buzuruna Juzuruna, we have 2 hectares of land, and we built a seed house in mud bricks, adobe, and also we have a training facilitation. So we invite farmers or gardeners or also kids to come and to exchange with them about agriculture and seeds. And we mostly produce veggie seeds, but also flowers seeds and aromatic plants, and then cereals and legumes. And the goal is that peasant seeds, we want that peasant seeds are available again for farmers or gardeners, because unfortunately in Lebanon, like in many places of the world, the hybrid seeds took all the space and farming shops. And so step by step, farmers, they don't find anymore the seeds from their area. And when we think about it, like Becca and Syria, they are the place where agriculture has started. So it's super sad to imagine that in the last 70 years, they are losing their original seeds for hybrid seeds, while these seeds are come from the place agriculture is born. So that's why some people decided to give its energy to Buzuruna Juzuruna, to find back these seeds and to exchange them, and to make links between people about using farming.
Also, to complement the seeds, we are also doing experimentation, and we produce the other agricultural inputs that we need in sustainable farming. So we do also compost, biopesticide, biofertilizer, and we developed recipes, and we make a lot of tests to adapt also those knowledge and those recipes to the raw materials that are available in Lebanon. And also, so as Ferdinand explained, we do training on sustainable practices, we develop curriculums, we support a lot of different farmers communities by spreading seeds and seedlings. Also community garden, urban garden, etc. And we organize every year different public events in order to raise awareness about agroecology, about peasant autonomy, about heirloom seeds. Yeah, and we're part of a lot of different networks in Lebanon, at the regional level, and also international networks about seed agroecology, but also different social and environmental struggles.
Could one of you tell us what Buzuruna Juzuruna means, the translation of the name of this project?
Yeah, for sure. So Buzuruna Juzuruna means our seeds are our roots. So Buzur, it's seeds, and Juzur, it's roots. So it's really to like explain our links with the seeds, and yeah, make like explain that they are just super important, and they part of the heritage, and also of the culture, and of like the mandatory for life and for human beings also.
I think it's a beautiful name. Like, I think the concept, our seeds, our roots, I think is just really fantastic.
Thank you. It was decided with a lot of people. Like 8 years ago, different people from different backgrounds met all together. Maybe Ferdinand, you can correct me, but I think it was like 50 people all together that were interested about sustainable agriculture and seeds. And a lot of names came up to different propositions. So how should we call this project and this network? And someone proposed Buzuruna Juzuruna, and it was like everyone said, "Yeah, that's it. That's this name. Like we need to use this one." So it was beautiful. Also the process on how it came up collectively.
Could you tell us a little bit about how many people are involved in this project, and just the diversity and range of different folks involved?
Yeah, so in the farm we are 20 people working full time. In this group, you have people from a lot of different backgrounds. Some of us are farmers, as we say, the born farmers, like family farming. Most of them in Syria. So they grew with agriculture, and then they had to flee their country through the war. So they have this like practical knowledge. They know how to make seeds since they're kids, because in Syria you still had a lot of traditional family farming. So they have this knowledge. They also know how to work with horses, plowing the land, and like traditional knowledge. Even though unfortunately we don't have an horse at the farm, but yeah. So we have some people that are farmer. Also, we have Charlotte, that's French farmer. She grew up in a farm and she joined us since the beginning. And then we have Serge and also Zoe, that they are come from a more like social background, like they studied social sciences. So that's for us very important, also part of the vision of Buzuruna. It's not just agriculture, but it's also a social project and cultural topics that it goes together, agriculture and culture. So we organize events and screenings. We work on film production and book production, editing. So yeah, it goes together. Also, it goes with kids and circus. So yeah. And also part of us are come from political science studies, because struggle for seeds and for natural farming, it's deeply linked with political struggle for food sovereignty for the people. And that's really the aim of this farm and this group of friends. I think it's a political struggle to give back power to the countryside and our ability to produce our own food. Yeah, and some of us studied agriculture, like me and Lara. We studied agriculture, so we bring a bit of this like technical and scientific part to make researches about the natural preparation to protect the plants and the crops from pest and disease, or about seed selection. And so it's like a big salad of with a lot of different backgrounds, and together it makes Buzuruna. And then so this is the team. Like we live together. We live all of us like or in the farm or 5 minutes away walking to the farm. And then we have the network of customers, eaters, the people that use our seeds and seedlings, the people that eat our food, that come to the events, and the network of other farmers or activists in the ground of agriculture and ecology. So that's like kind of the biggest family that we try to keep strong links together throughout the years.
Thanks for walking us through the community from at all the levels. One of the things that I love to touch base with in this podcast is to hear about when people discovered or realized that seeds are an important part of farming and an important part of the world. And I wonder if both of you could tell me, because this project is more like seeds are a big part, but it's more than that. And I can imagine some folks come to this project for other reasons, but I would believe that it's hard to do something like this and not suddenly realize the importance. So could I hear from both of you about the moment that you understood the importance of seeds in a larger system?
Yeah, if I can start, because for me it was really a big shock. And now I can like more openly speak about it. It's personally in my when I came first time in Lebanon, it was in 2014, and we came just like tourists with my sister. In fact, we came by bike from France. It was a a very amazing travel of 3-4 months through Mediterranean coast. And we came to Lebanon to discover this country, and we had some people of the family from here, and that were living here. So we have some people of our family that were living here before. So yeah, we discovered Lebanon, and we also discovered at this time the struggle of Syrian people. In 2014, they were struggling for a revolution against Assad regime, and in a lot of places, people were under siege. So they were not able to go out or in, and anything couldn't get in. So the food couldn't get in. So when we stayed here during 9 months, we got to meet some Syrian activists that were in contact with people in this area, and they were saying like people are in need of seeds. They need food, so they want to grow their own food. So they need to farm, but to be able to farm, they need the seeds. And they were able to bring some seeds, but the seeds, smuggling seeds. But the seeds they bring, they were hybrids, so they couldn't produce seeds out of them. As you know, the degenerative varieties. So group of people from these areas, they claimed for peasant seeds to be able to survive in these very harsh conditions. So this was the beginning for us to understand how deep is the link between seeds and freedom, and it inspired us a lot to start to decide to stay in Lebanon and to start our farming project.
Thank you for that story. That does seem like that's a big one. Léa, would you like to share your seed story?
Okay, it's less impressive, I guess.
You don't have a 4-month bike trip to Lebanon involved in it?
No, but I think it started with some classes I had at university. And I started to meet people that were working around seeds and that were very passionate about it. And I don't know, I just felt, okay, there is something I need to dig. And there's something that seems more interesting that I don't know, like what I love about seed is that you can talk about literally everything related to the word and the life. And just talking about seed, you can talk about culture, history, heritage, food, migration, people, life, nature, biodiversity. Like I don't know. It's like so central to everything. I feel like once you discover that, you just cannot go back. Like it's opening you to a greater understanding. And then for me, the higher step, I would say, it was to meet Buzuruna Juzuruna, because I had an interest, and then I meet this group, I meet this project, and I was like, okay, now it makes sense. Now I understand why it's so important and why I want to get involved in that field and on that subject. So it's really also with Buzuruna that I just like get into the subject, and that I understood all the different aspects that can cover the seeds, and also the struggle of life that there is behind the seeds and the seed preservation, and why it's so important. So it's meeting all those people, all this group that is so involved in that, and understand that seeds are really like part of life. And yeah, it was just so inspiring, and I'm so happy to be part of it now.
What I'm hearing in what you're saying, and a little bit also in what Ferdinand is saying, is that like there's a conceptual part, but then through this project, there's a practical part, just the fundamental importance of seeds if you're going to be able to eat and produce food and have a system.
Yes, sure.
Yeah, exactly.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
So,
And there is,
No, you go.
like I
don't want to cut you off.
a social, there is kind of a social link also with the seeds. It's part of your culture, in your traditions, and like so many people can speak with you passionately about a variety, about the taste that it has, about the cookings recipes that they used to do. The mothers used to prepare when they were kids. The taste of this watermelon, like. When you speak about these varieties, these peasants varieties, it brings a lot of feelings and a lot of pleasure. So, and it brings back people to to where they're coming from. So, it has also a very important social part into this seeds, a link between humans and all this diversity of plants.
Yeah, exactly. And if I want to add something, that we really realize that food is part of the, like, one of the most important part of cultural identity, and that every variety of peas and seeds is related to one specific traditional dishes. And so if you want to do a makdous, for example, which is a traditional dish of like stuffed eggplants from Syria and Lebanon, you need to have a specific little eggplants that you can stuff, but also that can be canned in a jar. So it doesn't make sense to grow those big eggplants that we found in Europe or in North America, because you cannot do the same dishes. So, like, it's really behind the seeds. You have like really like the cultural background that is very important, and heritage, and it's so important, and people are so moved also when we talk about seeds together. I feel like they have stars in the eyes a bit, like they're talking like, it reminds me the tomato that my grandfather was growing back to my village in Mount Lebanon, or in the countryside of Syria, or I should give you this eggplant or this wheat, or etc. And so it makes like amazing exchanges and amazing conversation also with people, bring back like the original taste of the culinary heritage in a bit.
I mean, what I'm hearing is it reinforces that idea of our seeds, our roots.
Yeah, exactly. Tout est dans tout.
So
something. In the title.
So something that I think that I've heard you use is the term peasant seeds. And so I know in French we talk about semences paysannes sometimes, I think a little bit more in Europe than in North America. But the concept of peasant seeds is not something that I think a lot of our listeners have maybe heard of, and maybe they have, and I'm assuming something, but I would love it if you could describe a little bit more what you mean by semences paysannes or peasant seeds.
Yes, true that specifically in France we have this word paysan, which means a farmer. But inside the word you have the pays, which is the countryside. But so it links the farmer with an area, with a geographical and natural space. And so a paysan, it's a person that lives with and from his geographical area, with the land and the soil and the climate and the water resources, etc. And so we have this concept of terroir. So this area produce specific products, food products, specific maybe wine or cheese or vegetables or kind of wheat. So there are these concepts that are present into the word of paysan. And they decided I think it's in 95, maybe Léa, you remember the date more, like they did a first meeting in France between seed farmers, and they decided to make a network together and decided this name, like Réseau Semences Paysannes, Network for Peasant Seeds. And it brings this link, like these seeds are alive thanks to farmers that grow them, select them, multiply them, and they are deeply linked with a specific area. So maybe there is this dimension that is not in heirloom seeds. There is like this heritage, but it's less linked maybe with the social part of peasant seeds. But I learned that this word of peasant was not really used in the, let's say, English speaking community, and it's more and more used. And now you have, since maybe 10 years, you have the UN international agreement or statement to protect the peasant rights. So here it gives a very good definition of what are the peasants, whom are we speaking about, and which right they should, all countries should protect and respect their rights, because they take care of the land, they take care of the whole countryside and landscape, and they also take care about the seeds and the food production. So and we feel that in the last 50 years there is kind of a war against peasants, like the system of capitalism, as you say, like would prefer companies. It would prefer companies and investment and this kind of structures to produce food, to produce everything. And family farming is kind of disappearing years after years, decades after decades in most part of the world. So we want to struggle for to protect peasants to still exist in the future.
Thank you. I think that's
sorry, it's a bit.
Honestly, really great. It's a great definition, and you touched on a lot of things. And I like how, I mean, that kind of, I hadn't thought about it that way, but the reflection I'm hearing, or I'm making, is like heirloom seeds. This is something that has a story associated with it, but not necessarily where it's grown. It could be grown. You can take that story and grow it somewhere else a bit. Whereas in the idea of peasant seeds and semences paysannes, I mean, the stories are there, but it's also the place that it's grown is just as important. And
yes.
And I guess being open pollinated is also very important in that.
Yes. And here in Lebanon, they call it baladi, Buzur baladi.
Like from the country.
It's more like also it's about the countryside or the area, but it doesn't have the people inside the word. But that's something we use when we do some discussions about seeds, like which names would you give to these seeds? So you can say natural seeds, you can say peasant seeds, heirloom seeds, traditional seeds, heritage seeds. There are a lot of different names, open pollinated seeds that would give, each of them will give a different dimension of what's the meaning of these seeds.
When you were using the word baladi in this context, is that also a way that you would describe the seeds?
Yes, that's where people, they ask, like they look for seeds. They will say these seeds are baladi, or they are let's say foreign seeds or hybrid seeds. So you have the baladi. It means that it's come from the area. It comes from Lebanon. It comes from Syria. It comes from this place. So they know they are more natural, and they are varieties. They also know which varieties, what's the characteristic of this seeds.
I guess my next question would be, where do the seeds from Buzuruna Juzuruna come from? Like, can you tell me a little bit more about those seeds?
Yeah, maybe I can start, and Ferdi, you can complete.
Okay.
So there is different way we gather seeds. First, there's a lot of them that comes from different encounters and gathering that we did originally, so Ferdinand and Zoe, at the beginning of Buzuruna, they did a film tour in the south of France, and they met a lot of people that brings seeds to give to them so they can bring them back to Lebanon. So a lot of peasant seeds from the south of France. And so then year after year also a lot of people that we met all around in different networks, in different seed gathering, we could exchange seeds, and we gain a lot of different varieties from all the Mediterranean area, and also from the Wana region. And also we had seed from directly from farmers and peasants from the region. And the last way also we used to order some samples from international seed banks, because we have this idea that the international gene banks do not comply with their role of co-evolution between the human and the seeds, and they're just privatizing a lot of seeds from all over the world, and we don't even know if in 50 years they will still be able to germinate. So we also want to reclaim the seeds, because a lot of them also have disappeared from the country or region of origin. And so we did a lot of order from international banks to reclaim seeds from the Wana region, from Lebanon, from Syria, from Palestine, from Iraq, from Iran. So that's the different way we gather seeds, and then we do the work of multiplication on the farm. So it takes years and years, but from little samples now we can have big plots of, for example, wheat that come from Iraq or Syria, that we able to then share the seeds with the local communities, or bring them back also to the region of origin, and propose them also to people to eat them, so to make breads and to make bol roll or fricada, or a specific way of eating wheat in Lebanon and Syria. And just also we have strong links with people who are seed producers, for example in France, that also help us in giving us some varieties that we are interested in. Yeah. So I think about Biogerm, for example, that is a French collective that produce professionally seeds.
Yeah, just to add that in Lebanon, most of the peasant seed have disappeared when we came in 2015. Some species they still have peasant seeds, like parsley. I don't know in English their names. Rocca, garden cress, like these herbs. But for the eggplants, tomatoes, peppers, or melons, watermelons, cucumber, zucchinis, it's super hard to find local varieties. So we felt to bring varieties, heirloom varieties from different places to start our project, and to try to find step by step real baladi, seeds baladi from Lebanon and Syria, and then as Léa said, from the network of the different countries in the area. But it's very impressive as how much it's hard to find the real local cucumber or tomatoes or eggplants. It's sometimes it's years, or people tell you, yeah, this one is baladi, yes, and then you try them and you find that after multiplicating the seeds that it was a hybrid one. Like even just an example, we have here in Lebanon, Banadora Jabaliye, so the mountain tomato. It's very known, and people are very proud of it because it has dishes that goes with it. And when we went to nurseries and they grow where they do produce the plants, the seedlings, we found the boxes of seeds, and they had written Banadora Jabaliye, so mountain tomato in Arabic language, but F1 seeds, so hybrid seeds produced in Florida, USA.
Huh.
So we see how the companies they go to a market, to like an area, they see which are the most famous seeds, they take samples from them, they produce the hybrid, and they get back to the market to propose them.
And they invade the market, and then they contribute to the disappearance of the original seeds.
Exactly.
Yeah. And also in the region, why there is such a disappearance of seeds, it's because also different wave of colonization, different wave of wars, displacement, forced displacement, and also so because we know that in context of war, there is a high risk of disappearance of culture in general, and know-how and knowledge, and also disappearance of the local farming, family farming, and the practices and the seeds. And so the region has known a lot of war and conflict and forced displacement that led to the disappearance of this heritage in a way. And also because of the Green Revolution, of course, that brought all this technological package, and there is a role of the sector of the NGOs also, because in time of rebuilding, reconstruction, etc., they just spread the markets with hybrid seeds because they say that they're gonna give a lot of food and they're gonna help people to have food in rebuilding moments and periods. But by doing that, they're just spreading all those seeds around, and they also contribute to make disappear the last remaining original seeds from the region. So there is like a lot of consequences from those action that seems to be like good to rebuild and to give food to the people, but at the end they're not respecting the local farming practices and make that the seed also disappear in the same time.
Let's take a quick break and hear from our show sponsors. The goal of the Culinary Breeding Network is to improve communication between plant breeders, seed growers, farmers, chefs, produce buyers, and others to improve quality in vegetables, fruits, and grains. The Culinary Breeding Network creates unique opportunities to taste in development cultivars where everyone can share opinions and be a participant in variety development. Inviting chefs, farmers, and everyday eaters into the breeding process increases public awareness and understanding of organic plant breeding. To learn more about the Culinary Breeding Network and find out about upcoming events, visit www.culinarybreedingnetwork.com and follow on Instagram. Are you a farmer looking for educational resources in Canada? Check out Young Agrarians. They are a farmer-to-farmer educational resource network for new and young ecological, organic, and regenerative farmers. Young Agrarians offers farmer-to-farmer programming, including tools and training around farming, business, mentorships, land access, and so much more. Interested in learning more? Head to youngagrarians.org and give Young Agrarians a follow on social media. All right, back to the show. That's a lot of things working against being able to find these peasant varieties that you'd like to be offering or to bring back and to redistribute through the countryside and the country.
Yeah, exactly. That's why we realize that in international seed banks, there's still some samples of original seeds that are no longer present, that are no longer existing in the country of origin. And so that's why we are reclaiming them saying that it's not fair that they are only kept in those banks that nobody can ask for them. And so, we want to take as much as samples as possible, to then multiply them and then to give them back to the farming communities. In a way, we can call that like decolonizing seeds in a way, because they are kept, especially in northern country, and they were taken in the global south. In like during colonial expeditions. So like there's really also this dimension of reclaiming this heritage that needs to go back to the global south farming communities.
I am going to pivot the conversation a little bit from where the seeds come from to how you store the seeds. Because when we were chatting a couple weeks ago, you were telling me that electricity is not something that is always available to run a cold room, for example, and also that Lebanon creates certain heat challenges during the day. So could you tell us a little bit about how the seeds are stored?
We built a seed house, so specifically for storing our seeds. We made this building that is made out of mud bricks. You mix the mud, the soil, with some straw that is cut in little pieces, and we don't need to cook them. It's only dry on the sun. And then we build this house, so it has very big walls. Oh, sorry. Yes. So the house has very big walls of like half a meter large. So it gives us a good isolation, and at the same time, it's we say it's respire, so the air can get in and out, which is very important for the humidity control, the moisture control, because the most important to store seeds more than the temperature is the moisture. So if it's very hot but it's very dry, if the atmosphere is hot but dry, the seeds can be preserved, but if it's humid, if it's cold or hot, humidity, it's so bad. So that's the most important thing. We have a lot of problems with rodents like mice, and because unfortunately with these traditional walls, like the mice can get inside, and they made some tunnels, so they come to visit, and I think they feel our seed house is kind of a paradise. When they get in, they are like a huge quantity of delicious food for them. So we are obliged to put the seeds into plastic buckets or plastic boxes, and also it can be glass boxes, but we have to take care of closing everything so the mice couldn't access. So it's our main challenge. We have some cats living around that are also very happy from the mice, but there's still so many mice around.
So you're really aiming. So I'm kind of wrong in targeting the heat, and it's more you're aiming to really control the moisture and keep it drier than just to keep the seeds living.
Yes. Yeah. So we don't use AC, and it's not a problem if the temperature gets higher. Even though like these big walls and without window, also for the storage room, we don't. There is no window. It keeps the temperature quite low compared to outdoor. And Léa, like, it's always impressive when we are in the heat of the summer. It's 40 degrees outdoor, 45 sometimes. And we get inside this house and it's like, wow, it's so fresh. But still 2022.
Yeah, 22.
Yeah.
How do you distribute your seeds through to people? Like how do you sell them? How do you share them? And also, I know that you do more than seeds. You also grow crops. Or at least I understand that you grow crops. So how do you distribute those too? Maybe that's too broad a question, but I'll ask that.
Yes. So for the seeds, so there's two main ways. First, we do a lot of solidarity projects in the region. So we are able to distribute to farmers and community garden and refugee garden and urban garden a lot of seeds and seedlings. So yeah, we reach a lot of people with those distribution of seeds, so people can actually grow their own food, and that's very important for us to be involved in that. And also we sell them. So we sell them. So as we are a non-profit organization, there is no profit made out of it. It just to cover the production cost. And so we have a network of clients that order seeds every season, and we get new clients every season too. And the idea is to make the seed as cheaper as possible. And so with the current crisis in Lebanon and the very skyrocketing inflation, the prices of the agricultural inputs that are imported and all in dollars are just getting crazy. And so in a way, our seeds are getting popular because people cannot afford anymore those hybrid seeds. And so some of them come to see us because our seeds are way more cheaper, and they're super happy to find seeds that they can still grow. And so for economical reason also, we can reach more and more people in this context of crisis. So I think this is also important information to share. Yeah, and also we have some exchanges, like we do a lot of public events, and we always have seed swap and a table of seeds where we offer a lot of different seeds, and people can just come. Sometimes they give us also varieties. They give back some varieties that they have, but most of the time they just take varieties from us, and we happy to share. We used to have always, I don't know, like 15 different varieties at each seed swap that we just offer to people that comes to the event. And also because we want to be as like, we want the seeds to be as like available as possible. We consider our seed house as a community seed house, so people can also just come, and we sometimes give them seeds. Sometimes they give us seeds, and like there is also an exchange between the us and the locals and the farmers. For the crops, we started to develop a value chain for, especially for the wheat. We are trying to convince local farmers that used to grow wheat in the Bekaa to try to grow our old varieties of cereals, of wheat. So they can test them, and so they can see that the yield are not that bad, and that they can find also a market for that. And so, yeah, we make like a partnerships with some farmers. So we give them for free like 200 kilos of wheat. And then the deal is that when they do the harvest, they just give us back those 200s from their own harvest. So they access to free seeds, and we can keep our stock and our collection living. So that's it, I would say. And we also have the vegetables that we grow in the garden. So the main production is the seeds, but we also we grow some crops and some lines for selling. And so we have like a CSA, humidity, supportive agriculture,
like a basket program, like where people can pick up a basket of vegetables.
Yeah. So the only difference with a normal CSA that people do not pay in advance because as the situation in Lebanon is very unstable, it's pretty hard to make people pay in advance for all the season. But we have a group of clients that we have on WhatsApp, and we just share with them every week what we have in the garden, what would be in the basket, and people can order the vegetables directly, and we deliver them to Beirut.
I think that it's time for us to have a little bit more of the technical conversation and get into the deep dive part of the podcast. So one of the crops that you had mentioned being interested in talking about, Ferdinand, was cucumbers. Would you like to jump in now and tell us a bit about the cucumber variety and that you wanted to talk about for seed production?
Yes, with pleasure. We can discuss about like our travel with the plants and how from the seeds we can make seeds. So one example is about a local cucumber that I personally never saw before came to Lebanon. Maybe in some cities of like in some places in Western countries, you already saw them. They are like light green, and they're a bit long, and they are doing some how to say like a snake. They are not straight at all. And also when you cut it, it's a bit like a star because the skin of it is not how do you say? It's making some triangles like this, up and down. So it's very beautiful variety that people they eat it just like this with the skin, like Bugs Bunny is eating carrots. So or you put it in some with some cheese and some lot of ways to eat it. So we discovered this variety, and as we eat it as a cucumber, we decided to make seeds of it just as cucumber. So when we did our garden, we did choose this variety as cucumber. We didn't grow any other cucumbers because as maybe this family of plants, Cucurbitaceae, they are cross-pollinating through insects and mainly through bees. So it has female flower and male flowers. So the pollen is bring from the male flower to the female flower and to the fruit through bees. So it cross-pollinates. If you grow different varieties of cucumber, for example, you won't find the same variety inside your fruit, even though your fruit is just as you want it to be. Inside the seeds and the genetic information inside will have come from the pollen of another plant and of another variety. So for Cucurbitaceae in the seed garden, each year we can grow only one kind of zucchini, one kind of melon, one cucumber, one watermelon, one squash. You have Maxima squash and Moscata squash. So so we grew cucumber, this kind that is it's called me'ete, and in English we call it Armenian cucumber. And we grew some melons just close to it. But then after the year, when we harvested the seeds, so when you make the seeds of these plants, cucumber, you have to wait. You don't harvest it when it's time for to eat it. You let it get bigger and bigger, because when you eat it, the seeds are not ready. You can see the seeds; they are so small, they are fleshy, and so you have to wait for the fruit even change its color from green. It comes to yellow, and then it's not strong anymore. And you cut it and you take out the seeds that now are big and strong and have their skin, their husk. But when we open the mete, so the first thing is that the mete is long, like 1 meter long, 1.5 meters. It's huge, and it goes like right and left, and it's very impressive and beautiful. So we finally harvested them, and we cut them on the length, and then came here a strong smell of melon, and so we took out the seeds, but we test the flesh, and it was a bit sweet, but not delicious as a melon. But the smell couldn't lie. This was not a cucumber. And so we started to look in the internet about this if we had more information, and comes out that this cucumber is not a cucumber. It's Cucumis melo, so it's the species of melons. It's a melon that you eat just as a cucumber. So yeah, this year we lost our seeds because we grew just on its side, we grew a melon variety. So finally, the melon cross with each other. This meete cross with the melon. So both seeds were we cannot use them because you would have we use the seeds. We will have a meete that it's how do you say, amer, bitter. Yeah, that is bitter in the stage of you eat it like a mete, like a cucumber, and when it will be big and ready to be eaten as a melon, it will not be sweet. So yeah, and unfortunately, we created a new variety, a mix of melon and mete, but it's not good for any use. And we also didn't have a cucumber because we decided to not grow normal cucumbers this year. So yeah, that's important to double check this kind of infos before you start.
And when you'd be extracting the seed from cucumber or maybe melon, I'm not sure where to ask, if I should ask about the Armenian cucumber or normal cucumber, but how would you extract the seed of those crops?
Yeah, so you have to wait for the fruit to change its color and to get yellow, and then you harvest them and you cut them in their length. So you have then two sides of it, and we take it out just with spoons or with your hand, your fingers, and we put it into a bucket with some water. And as we let it inside the water for 1 night, and then we take it out. So during this night, there is this kind of, sorry for my English, but I don't know how you call it. This kind of
is it fermentation?
Yeah, there is this. There is a fermentation process because there is this thing like in tomatoes, this transparent thing that you want to take out. So we make a fermentation process. But just something to know, it's that in cucumber seeds, after 1 day, when you clean it, some seeds they are down the water, and some seeds they stay they're floating up the water, and it's not because they're floating that they are not good. So some people and us sometimes when we started, we just throw out like the upper seeds, the seed that they were floating, but no, they are very good seeds. It's okay, it's not a problem. So you can use it, even the floating one and the diving one,
the sinking ones.
The sinking. Thank you. Yes, the sinking ones, because some other species it doesn't work, like tomatoes and eggplants, etc. When you have some that are floating, it means that there is nothing inside. There is no the seed is not finished.
I think with the cucumbers and some of the cucurbits, there can be air pockets maybe in the shell, mm-hmm. or in the you call it a shell, in the outer layer, mm-hmm. Of the seed.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That makes sense.
And with melons, how would it be different extracting the melons from the cucumbers?
The melon is just amazing because cucumber you cannot do anything from the fruit. It's not so tasty anymore. It's not the texture of it. It's kind of fluffy. we tried the first year to make la boisson avec du persil, un gazpacho.
So you tried to make a gazpacho from it the first year?
Yeah, so I come back to it. Yeah, so we tried to valorize these cucumbers and making gazpacho of these fruits, but it was not super successful. But while melons and also watermelons, like you just have to eat delicious melons. So that's much more tastier and nicer. So we just like come to sit all together, the members of the farm, and we eat. Or the kids, they are very excited to do this job. Maybe sometimes on the farm they love too much this work, so they already go to harvest the melons and watermelons while they are not ready, and they come like, oh, I want to extract the seeds.
The other crop that you mentioned being interested in talking about was talking about some cereals, some wheat specifically. Would you like to jump in those, either of you?
So as you know, like wheat and barley, they originally coming from Mesopotamia, and it's Iraq, Syria, Lebanon, and Palestine area that they firstly grew this species. And so it was important for us to get back to find original varieties from here. So we were in contact with seed banks, but also with activists in Europe that work on this topic. And we get to know Longomai, that is a network of cooperatives in France, Germany, Switzerland, and Austria, and even more countries. And since 2008, they were in a struggle in Germany with a national seed bank, the seed bank of Germany that has like thousands of varieties of wheat from all around the world, and that multiplicate them and is supposed to preserve them. But as in many places, they were asked to do partnerships with private sectors. And so in 2008, they had a partnership to develop GMOs of wheat in their multiplication station. So it was meaning that they will grow GMOs varieties just close to the multiplication site of these heirloom seeds from all around the world that are like a treasure for humanity. And the wheat, we mostly know that it doesn't cross-pollinate, but in fact it cross-pollinates like 1% to 2%, depends a lot of on the climate conditions, but it does cross-pollinate from a variety to another. So there were a risk of pollution of the genetic material of this collection. So some activists from Germany and Europe, they made a case about this, and they put it public for the medias. So there were a lot of discussions and events and stuff like this about it. So finally, the director of the seed bank said, "Okay, you don't agree with our work, so like just take these seeds and preserve them yourself, activists," which is like meaning like this, like it was a duty of a state, and they're saying like, okay, now it's your work, and you need a lot of human resources, scientific resources, land, etc., a lot of things to do that. So Longomai tried to do it, and they did do it with a network of other activists and farmers. They multiplicated a lot of varieties from the seed bank, and so they were looking for activists in the area of the seeds coming from, to take it back. So when we told them like we are in Lebanon, and we're talking about seeds in Middle East, they said, "Oh, it's amazing. We have a lot of seeds from Syria, from Iraq, from Iran. If you as Buzuruna, you want to take care of them, we are welcome to do that." So it started in 2017. We get the samples, we multiplicated them for years, and from few seeds now we have some tons of these seeds. And since 2 years, there are farmers from Iraq that get in contact with us and came to have trainings with us in Lebanon. And so they got back 2 varieties from Iraq. One is named camel teeth, because it's a long variety. It's Turanicum wheat. The seeds are very long, just as the Khorasan. And another one that is named Blackbird, because it has long black spikes. And so we were very happy that since 2 years they are growing it in the countryside of Baghdad and in the Kurdistan mountains. So back in Iraq, the seeds are back to their homelands.
Yeah, and what is crazy is that when the people of Longomai, the one who take care of those varieties for the last years, when they came in Lebanon and they visit our field where we were multiplying them, they were amazed by how beautiful the grains and the wheat look like. They were super surprised because they said that it's like those varieties really express their potential back to their original land, that they were not looking at all like that when they were grown in Germany. And they were super moved to see that, once they get again in the region of origin, they could like express their potential and be super strong and have beautiful grains. And that was a beautiful story to hear.
Yeah, like the happiness of returning from exile.
That's really showing the value of what peasant seeds can be.
Yeah, it shows that it's linked with an area, and it for us it really makes sense. And through our journey with the seeds, year after year, we're feeling more and more that it's making sense.
So I'm going to ask you a couple questions to wrap us up, and I guess either of you can answer them, or maybe both of you. So the first question is, what would you tell your younger seed growing self?
I would say take care about melons and Armenian cucumber.
It's hard for me because I feel like I don't have enough experience, so I consider myself still as a young seed grower. But what I noticed, because we receive at Buzuruna a lot of people that are involved in seed production, preservation since years and years, sometimes 40 years. We share with them a lot. They explain to us a lot of things, and they give us a lot of tips. And sometimes they come back 1 year after and they say, what I said to you last time, just forget about it. And I think it's really like the most, like the thing we need to keep in mind is that you just need to try and to do, and there is no one way to do, or one reality in a way, because you can think that you should do this and that and this technique and that process for this kind of seed, and maybe you just meet someone else that is doing completely another techniques and use other way to do it, and then you just realize that there is a lot of way to do, and there is no scientific reality that is just always true, and it's just like experimenting, and it's trying and going back and forth, and even people that are doing seeds and preserving and producing seeds since 40 years, when you talk with them, they seem that they're not sure of anything. It just always new things are coming up, and new knowledge and new experiences, and it's always like a moving process, and you're still learning every season, and every time you grow seeds again.
There is no end of learning.
So what would you say to market growers or to farmers who don't grow their own seed, to inspire them to start growing their own seed?
I mean, it's not compulsory that each farmer has to grow all of its own seeds. The nice thing of seeds it's that it can work in like a network, and they are very generous, the seeds, but if you are a market grower and you need to have diversity to your customers, you cannot do only one variety of cucumber or of zucchini by year, So what we saw is that there are farmers, they organize themselves as a network, and one say like me, I love this zucchini, it's my go-to, and I love to make the seeds of this, so this one will make this variety, and another one will make another one, and like this we share the duty, because it's already so hard to live from your farming production and vegetables specifically, to make a living out of it. So we cannot ask like to make too much duties on their shoulders, but not to see it as like a huge change in your practices, but just starting with maybe one variety, one species, that it's not so hard to let it longer in the garden to make the seed out of it, or maybe to make seed production at the same time of food transformation. Let's say for tomatoes, it goes very well together. You make the tomato sauce, you like to take the seeds out, because the tomato sauce will be nicer without the seeds. So at the same time, you produce your seeds, and you make tomato paste. So it doesn't have work. So to see it like small changes, small possibilities, and not compulsory like a huge gap in your ways of working.
Is there anything that I should have asked you that I did not ask you in this discussion?
We could discuss together nice, and I think you have a lot also to share, because you discussed with a lot of different people, so we'd be happy to learn from you also.
Well, that would be a wonderful conversation to keep having.
So we can access to your podcast, your records, so we will have a nice time also listening to you.
So how can people find out more about what's happening at Buzuruna Juzuruna?
So they can follow us on Instagram. We try to keep updated what we're doing. Also, we have a website, Buzuruna Juzuruna, and there's a lot of articles that are available, and also videos on YouTube. So different ways to keep in touch. And our email, buzurunajuzuruna@gmail.com.
Well, thank you, Léa and Ferdinand, so much for this conversation. It's been a real joy to talk about this project.
Thank you, Dan, for having us.
Thank you.
I wish you a great next steps in your season.
Thank you. Yeah, the team is sowing right now in the Beca all the crops for next year's. So it's a beautiful moment and very symbolic also in these times of war and of oppressions. So growing food is also resisting.
Yeah. It's maybe it can sound weird for Quebec, but now we are planting chickpeas, fava beans, green peas, and the wheat.
Well, best of luck with all the sowing.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
And that's episode 24 of the Seed Farmer podcast. At Tournesol, the team is in the seed house these days, shipping the last orders before the holiday break, and I'm looking at what seed lots didn't pass germination tests and making decisions about whether I can clean these lots again to improve the germination, or whether I need to make the decision to pull these lots from distribution. I really hate when seeds don't germinate as well as we expect them to. As I mentioned at the beginning of the episode, I have a free mini course coming up called Crop Planning for Seed Farmers. In this course, you'll see how to use the templates from the Farmer Spreadsheet Academy to plan out next year's seed crops. You can register at www.spreadsheet.farm/seedcropplan, and you'll be notified when the course arrives in a few weeks. The link is also in the show notes. A huge thanks to Léa and Ferdinand for being on the podcast. I only scratched the surface of Buzuruna Juzuruna in this episode. I didn't even ask about the circus they have on site. If you want to know more about this project, there are a lot of great articles on the internet. You can also follow Buzuruna Juzuruna on Instagram. A huge thanks to Safia Sildantel for the theme music. You can hear more of their music at safiasildantel.com. Thank you so much for joining me in these conversations with seed farmers. You can find more seed growing resources on my blog at seedgrowers.farm. While you're there, you can subscribe to my newsletter full of seed growing, crop planning, and farm spreadsheets. You can also order a copy of The Seed Farmer, a complete guide to growing, using, and selling your own seed. The Seed Farmer podcast is produced in part by No-Till Growers with the help of our sponsors. Thank you, Michael, for all your patience and your post-production work. I really appreciate it. A huge thanks to everyone else at No-Till Growers for making this podcast happen. If you haven't already subscribed to this podcast, now's the time. You wouldn't want to miss the next episode. Until then, happy farming.